So I'll be talking on postprandial glycemic trends in Indian type 2 diabetes, the role of mid-mix insulin. So you know we come from a country with rich heritage, so many options. We actually have fancy in eating so many things at a time, and we are the people who always believe in not filling by 80%. Europeans usually follow 80% filling. They stop with 80% filling. But we are the ones who want it to come much more higher, 100% filling. And then only we stop. And we don't obey our satiety center. We only obey our filling center. So having said that, we have got, because of our rich traditions and our so many choices, we still can't keep away. Suppose you go for an international trip. You go for 5 days. What will be the first thing what you do? You just ring up your family, make this idli or so whatever you want to take. No? Be the first thing with what you prefer. Because we people in our genes it lies that we can't stay away from rice. And we have to do something to come away from it. You can still eat the same rice but can decrease its consequences. So when we say hyperglycemia or dysglycemia, there are two types. One is sustained chronic hyperglycemia, the other is acute glucose fluctuations. When we say sustained chronic hyperglycemia, it's sustained fasting, sustained postprandial. Each has its own role. Whenever the postprandial glucose is sustained, it leads to more of oxidative stress. Whenever the fasting glucose is high, sustained elevation, then it leads to more of advanced glycation end product, what we call as AGE. Acute glucose fluctuation is as harmful as chronic glucose fluctuation. So just a refreshment from our physiology, what we learned in first year of MBBS. When we say postprandial, it mentions 4 hours period post meal. So we take 3 meals a day. So half of the day is covered in the postprandial period. And most of the predominant, this one is energy is got from the carbohydrate. Then the term post-absorptive. This is the 6 hours postprandial state. During this time, what happens? The glucagon level rises. There is glycogen breakdown in the muscle and also in the liver. We say fasting 10 to 12 hours after the last meal. This is the time where the fat breaks down into free fatty acids. Then they are converted into what we call as gluconeogenesis. They converted into glucose and also ketone bodies. So a person with diabetes spends 12 hours in the postprandial state. So what happens when during the early phase of diabetes, we have got this first phase of insulin secretion which is lost. This insulin actually gets secreted during 5 to 10 minutes of the food intake. So what actually happens is as soon as the food enters the food pipe, the insulin secretion starts. So this is called as first insulin secretion. The main role is to suppress the glucagon so that the glycogenolysis is suppressed. If this is not done, then the postprandial hyperglycemia is much more. This is what we call as first phase insulin secretion. And this is the earliest one to happen in a patient with type 2 diabetes. So my topic given to me was premix insulin and PPG control. So premix insulin is a commonly used insulin. It's easy to initiate, easy to titrate. So the topic says mid-mix insulin. So what do you mean by mid-mix insulin? This is a 50-50 combination. And you also have high mix insulin, where the regular insulin or the ultra-short acting insulin is 70%, the NPH is 30%. So low mix, low premix, mid premix and high premix are the things. And was asked to talk about 50%, 50-50. So in a patient who takes more carbohydrate, higher PPG level, you achieve the fasting plasma glucose target of less than 180, still the PPG is more than 180, may on insulin, maybe you can shift them to 50-50. Even if suppose you see fasting plasma glucose is not that much elevated, PPG is very highly elevated, even at initiation, you can start 50-50 insulin. And this 50-50 insulin has got many advantages. It can be given even 3 times a day, and it's easy to intensify. So this analog insulin is preferred over human premix because of only one thing. The PPG's control is better and hypoglycemia is slightly better and quality of life has been shown to be better. So how to titrate? You have got so many algorithms. So I don't follow this. So you slowly titrate by 2 units, 4 units and achieve it slowly. Every week or every 2 weeks you bring the patient. I don't think we follow it at our bedside. How to initiate? So what they say is 0.2 units per kg should be the initiation dose. So or otherwise alternatively you can start with 10 units and start increasing it every third day or fourth day. You teach the patient, check your glucose level and accordingly increase. Whenever we use a mid-mix insulin, we should also look at the postprandial glucose. So that's the only thing. When you use a premix, low premix insulin, only fasting and pre-dinner is sufficient. But when you use a mid-mix insulin, the 2-hour PPG has to also to be seen during titration, because you might unnecessarily end up in hypoglycemia. So there are many randomized control trials to support its use. It's well tolerated, and it can be even given 3 times daily instead of your basal bolus therapy. In that case, the ratio is this: you give 45% in the morning. It's in printing mistake, typing mistake. 45% of insulin in the 55% insulin in the morning, 15% before lunch, and 85% before dinner. This should be the distribution of doses. So the insulin requirement is high in the morning, so you give high. You give only 15% before lunch. By doing so, we can stimulate a basal bolus therapy. So I think I don't need to go to case studies. It's getting late. So I think I'll stop with this. And any doubts you can raise.